Well, I think that high tide's important, and I think the dusk is important. You can go on a low tide at dusk and do really good, but like you said, you can go at noon and you can find halibut, but the best time is...
I'm actually more like this, and I'm always like trying to get this as back as far as I can. People are like this, and like, yeah, I spooked it. Like, yeah, because he sees this moving around. And then the rule of thumb for me is,
because I heard rumors of what one would look like, I took an old shaft. I'm like, could you cut it off, weld it right there? People use this. I like this one way more because you can drive it through the sand. The only time I go in shallow is at night. And as soon as I put my mask in the water, it's one right there. Took off. I've seen them like so shallow that I couldn't get that far, and I've had to go like.
It was like a congress of halibut. I think 16 or 18 of them.
Wow.
So I tried to find the biggest one, whack, and I did that 5 times.
That sounds like 2 more than you should have.
Down here is 5.
Is it 5 down
Yeah.
there?
It's not going to affect you, don't worry about it.
Let's get into it. We'll start with the halibut. Anybody shot a first one this last season? Anybody great halibut story? One that tore off? Nothing? No? Who shot a halibut last season? Anybody? I know I did. We got like 50, 40% of, all right. Who's seen halibut that saw them first? Come on, we've all been there. I mean, if we've looked for them, they've all seen us first. It's just kind of the game that we play, and the idea is to, well, see them before they see you. And so hopefully by the end of the night, we'll find out how we do that, because that's the key. They're out there. You know, you start swimming around and, oh, there they went. Oh, there they went. Oh, shit. There they go. So, anywho, I'll just kind of open this up to anybody that wants to just first. How'd you guys get into spearfishing? Just kind of, you know, your short background. You've all been doing it for years at this point. But like, what got you into it? I mean, I started when I was 9. I grew up in Arizona and went out to Kauai and got my first pole spear and speared in Kauai. That's where I started my roots. What about you guys?
I was like 13. I'm the youngest of 3 brothers, and we just live at the beach, and we found this old pole spear, and there we go, shooting buttermouth perch and calicos, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And it wasn't until I was 15 I shot what looked like a rainbow trout, and I was like, what is this fish? And it ended up being a white sea bass. It was only like 22 inches, but I was like, that looks good, and the rest is history. Yeah.
Nice.
I was 6 or 7 years old in the south of France, and I actually speared and released with a little shaft about this big with a tri-prong, and I saw a little wrasse, and I'm all, bam, and it folded perfectly within the spear points. And I brought it up to my dad, and I'm like, look! And I'm like, oh, it's not injured, and I let it go. I spent a lot of summers in France, and a couple of my older cousins were big into spearfishing, and I would, 3 feet of water, we'd spear these little gobies and little tiny perch-looking things, and we'd freeze them. There was about 5 of us cousin boys who would freeze them all summer long, and at the end of the summer, my mom would go to the store and buy some real fish and shrimp, and she'd make a big bouillabaisse with it, so it's kind of a fun tradition.
Nice. When did you come out and start spearing in California then?
Well, I was living in California.
Oh,
yeah, but I would just spend summers there, and then I grew up the street from the Coral Casino, and I was there 8 days a week. I mean, I grew up at the Coral Casino, so probably 10, 11 years old, I started venturing. 12 years old.
And finding halibut.
Yeah.
Okay. Lonnie, what about you?
I started spearfishing pretty young. I don't remember the exact age, but it was really young. My dad used to scuba dive, and my uncle, and they were really into like Sea Hunter, that show and stuff. And then so I always watched them. And then I grew up in Santa Cruz, California, so the water's not super clear there, but I still would go out in the water every chance I got. I remember being in Hawaii and just absolutely falling in love with freediving because it was so clear and you could see everything. And then when I was younger, we used to go to Mendocino a lot in the summers, and so we go hunt, get abalone, and then just spearfishing and cod and rockfish and stuff. And then just as life progressed, just kind of fell deeper in love with the sport.
with you growing up in NorCal, did you come across a lot of the Pacific halibut a lot up there, or was it kind of mixed, or was it most of the California?
Well, so growing up, there wasn't a whole lot of halibut.
It wasn't?
No,
Okay.
it was when the gill nets were still in.
Oh.
They weren't like they are
Got
now,
it,
you
okay.
know. And so we did a lot of hook and line. We fished for salmon a lot up there, and fished for, like, if you caught a white sea bass, it was like, you know,
It was
magical,
news.
magical,
Golden ticket.
totally, because there was just none there. So halibut, I never really saw any free diving for halibut. Never even looked for them, because
Got
it was
it.
like, why?
Yeah, right.
You know, we'd catch them hook and line once in a while, but that was it. Yep.
Nice,
Yep.
thanks. Tony?
I think I first started when I was probably 6 or 7. My dad liked to surf fish, and so I didn't like sitting on the beach. So I had a mask, and I'd just roll around and swim out. I saw some little lips in the sand one time. I'm like, I wonder what that is. And I dug it out, and it was a clam. And I'm like, don't we go to Pismo for these things? Like, and my dad's like, oh, can you get more of those? I'm like, yes. And he goes, okay, let's go home. And he went home and got the gauge, and we went back. And I spent all afternoon just chucking clams up to the shore. And he's like, this one's good. That one's not. That one.
That was
He just threw it
bad.
back. So I felt successful then. So
Nice.
then I found a spear gun when I was like probably 9 in Mexico on a family trip.
Awesome.
And I'm like, I want to shoot something. I never
Yeah.
shot anything with it, but
You didn't shoot anything with it?
no. Well, yeah,
Well, right.
not things
Yeah.
I should.
Yeah,
Like,
fair enough, yeah.
It was out of the water, but
Yeah. I mean, first thing I ever shot was a
yeah.
puffer
And
fish.
my brother
Pulls-
just a bit missed my brother a few times.
Nice. Well, more specific to halibut, do you guys have like a time of day you like to go? I mean, I tend to like to go on high tides, you know. Do grunion runs play a factor to you guys? Tides, moon phase? I mean, what if you're considering weather and time of day, what goes into it for you guys?
Nighttime.
Or is it just when you're able to go? I mean, I know we're all busy and sometimes that's the best time to go is when you can, but if you have an open schedule, are you looking for something?
Nighttime,
Nighttime.
super easy.
Why is that? Well,
It's
Just
super
sit
easy.
there.
Just sit
Nighttime's
there.
unfair. You
Yeah.
shouldn't go at night. It's like shooting crabs in a barrel. But I believe early morning and like dusk, you know, like the first part. But they're there all day.
Yeah.
They're hanging out. You could go to campus at noon and find them, you know.
Okay. You,
One interesting anecdote, at least where I dove, the first week of cold, clear water in November, we normally get this kind of like crystal clear but really cold water. I would always find, and they were all like cookie cutter 26 to 28 inch halibuts that were a little bigger than the just barely legals, but they would be in the rocks and not exposed and in groups in 6 to 8 feet of water. But it was definitely like it wasn't the normal sand channels, eel grass. There's
just
something different going
Sitting
on.
on the rocks
Yeah.
out there saying, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
Wow.
and one of my best days ever, diving near Butterfly Beach, and I look and I went, it was like a congress of halibut. There was, I think, 16 or 18 of them.
Wow.
And they're all cookie cutter 28 inchers. So I tried to find the biggest one, whack, stoned him. 3 or 4 took off, and I just backed out of the viz, strung them up, and I did that 5 times. I got, yeah, so I was able to,
5?
every time, well,
That sounds like 2 more than you should have.
no, down here is 5.
Is it 5 down
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
I thought it was 3 down.
No.
Look at that.
That's
All
for-
right, Mark.
that's
It's not gonna affect you, don't worry about it.
It's 3 Pacific holidays, right?
That's the only time I've got my limit spearfishing for halibut, but that was kind of fun in high school to do that.
Nice.
I think across the board, the best time to dive for halibut is dusk at a high tide during a grunion run, or like a historical grunion run. If you want to just up your chances way up, that's the time to go. I mean, every spot is kind of dependent, but across the board, that's like, my opinion, that's the best.
So when you
Oh,
that high tide push, you get the clear water.
Well, what it is at dusk, they're a little
Starting
bit
to
less,
move.
they're a little less shy.
Yeah.
They're not as shy because the light going down a little bit, and yeah, and like, I'm sure everyone knows this, but like a couple days before a grunion run and a couple days after a grunion run, or even full moons or whatever, however you want to time it, but that's probably the best time. So
I would agree. Pushing tide dusk is 90% of the time when I dive.
Okay.
I don't even bother in the morning anymore. I feel like they're way more relaxed and they come into the shallows and they're just, getting ready for an evening of death.
But nighttime is rad if you're just gonna take your knife.
Yeah, that's why I only take a halibut hammer at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're talking less than 10 feet of water?
I think
At night?
95% of the halibut I've speared, except for the islands, have been in 10 feet of water or less.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's also 90% of the time, that's where I dive. That's where I grew up diving, so.
The ones of size, I've found it 10 feet to 20 feet. Like, I've never found a fat one in anything less than 10.
I got a 24 and a 22 pounder right off the cemetery in high school in this deep water and spooked an even bigger one.
Is that the photo you sent me?
Yeah.
That posted up?
Yeah.
For all you that saw it, old school photo of Marco, much younger, but he's got two just barn doors going.
Yeah.
Nice ones.
Lobster diving at night, I've never seen a halibut. Like, what am I missing here?
They're in shallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
I
shallow.
shore dive mainly.
I mean, like at campus when I go lobster diving, I'm looking in like 24 inches and I'm like, oh, there they are. And then.
Are they ours? Or
Yeah,
are they-
they're out, and then you're looking for like rocks with a gap of sand, so it's like a pattern, and there's like rocks and stuff, and you find which way the current's going, and normally they're all faced kind of the same way based on the current, and they're just like in that little zone. But you gotta find them, they're like lobsters, they congregate like he was saying. Once you find one, you kind of just stop, and you're like, okay, there's halibut here, and there'll be more.
Thank you.
What kind of gun are you guys shooting? I mean, what's your configuration? I mean, I can see you brought an example. So is this something you would shoot a halibut with?
I lost my gun, and I called this old timer.
Uh-huh.
And he gave me this gun, and this is from 2005.
That's a rifle.
It's a old rifle, like
standard-
Hawaiian.
Hawaiian,
And no
yeah.
color.
Um, And I guess hunting is very important. That's like what I think is the most important is how you hold your gear. Most people might be out like this,
Mhm.
and that's just ridiculous because you're trying to get as close to the halibut as you can without it seeing you. So it has, that much lead on you. So whenever I'm diving, I'm actually more like this.
Oh,
And I'm always like trying to get this back as far as I can because I'm in such shallow water.
right.
And so people are like this and like, yeah, I spooked it. Like, yeah, because he sees this moving around, if you're like this. And then the rule of thumb for me is if I look somewhere, I'm pointing there.
Mhm.
Because even a few weeks ago, I went diving and it was my first dive of the year. Just a little rusty. And I'm like, what's over there? And like, boom. And I'm like, what was I doing? So if you're looking there, be ready to shoot there.
Right. You run a slip tip then when you shoot?
I actually do. Most people, for me, it's all about like what you like. It's kind of like surfing. I'm a surfer as well. People ride all these different boards. I like the slip tip. I've like penetrated not deep enough with the floppers.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
I like a super heavy, firepower.
Uh-huh.
So this thing's blast through it, and I know it's going through, and it's just.
That's an ice pick, right? Yeah, this is a rifle ice
Yeah.
pick, yeah.
Yeah.
Those things are.
I told bulletproof.
Those
That's
things
it
are
for
like,
years.
if you're gonna rock a slip tip in rocks, that's the way to go. Your
Yeah.
moray, come to my house, you'll see 5 of them all bent up hitting rocks. Like they're on my trophy wall.
I maybe once a year have
Yeah.
to do it. It's
Yeah,
like
but
50
those things-
bucks or whatever, 100, but I don't even know. Like,
Yeah, but
Cost
even
of doing
then,
business.
they don't bend up nearly as much as those morays do, which are great tips. I love them, but
and I
those
feel
ice
like
picks are
being
thorough
overpowered
shit.
is the key because you're dealing with a fast fish, and it's like it concusses them more. You're like bang, and you want to like rock that fish's
Yeah.
world a little bit.
spin his head a little bit.
Yeah.
Give him some dizzies.
I got my biggest fish at 51 pounds at the islands on scuba. It was a 42-inch biller with a calico shaft Hawaiian style. And I shot a lot of fish with that. But you just like with a slip tip, you have to watch what you're shooting into. Kind of the same thing with a Hawaiian. I would, if the fish is here with a Hawaiian, I'm gonna not want to shoot it. I'm gonna want to get as much of an angle to try to penetrate. Even if it's on a rock, if you can get low enough, you can kind of almost skip it off the rock and get it through the fish. And then the second you pull the trigger, you better be on that shaft and grabbing it. It's not, yeah, it's fun to like fight the fish, but the sooner you can jump on that shaft and try to push it in and grab the other side, you're going to lose less fish.
Got it. And you guys are running, well, we'll come back to it,
Yeah.
but. what are you-
And then at the islands, I grew up in high school and then afterwards working on the truth boats. And what they would use there would be like 10 to 12 foot long. I think they were Rydell pole spears, and they were thick and heavy. And you talk about concussing them. I mean, this thing.
Yeah,
you know.
when I was on the Conception, we had one of them, and I
Yeah.
plugged a 35 pounder and just knocked the shit out of it right in Cueva Valdez.
Yep.
It just
Yep.
on scuba.
Yep.
Yeah, this is my
That's
biggest
what
one,
we did.
35 pounds. Yeah, just bam, there he is.
Yeah.
I think I was diving one day and I had one halibut on the stringer and I was running a slip tip. And then not too far after that, I saw another one. So I shot it and the shaft bounced out and the slip tip actually broke. So it was like broken, and luckily I'd stoned the fish. So I go down and I put the other fish on my stringer, and when I'm coming back up, a wall of sea bass came in. But I didn't have, the slip tip was broken, so I wasn't able to. And then I can count like 3 or 4 other times that I've shot into, because sometimes around here we have like the soft bit under the sand that's still hard
Shale.
enough, the shale or
Shale,
whatever.
yeah.
If you get your slip tip stuck in that,
Uh-huh.
your dive's done. You're
Yeah.
just like digging your slip tip
Always
out
add.
for.
Yeah.
So personally, I don't like running slip tips for that reason. I'd rather, I just use a Hawaiian shaft, and then they have those Hawaiian shafts with 2 prongs on them.
Mhm.
If you really are worried about them coming off. I mean, sometimes it won't penetrate all the way through, but yeah, everyone has their. Or what you do is if you have a flopper, you just grind down the tip so your flopper is closer
Right there,
to your
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Tip,
it.
to
yeah.
your tip.
Yeah, I did that
So-
on this.
More importantly, find what works for you.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because I tried the flopper and you probably tried that, so it's like so conditional on who you are and what you want, you know?
And what you have
So-
confidence in.
So
Yeah,
this,
exactly.
so this is the tip I used forever, because it only has to go that far and only has to deploy that much. I've never lost one on this, but then I started using the ice pick, and I've shot indoor rock and had to like take my fins off and pull it out, and it was fine. And I've had that thing for 15 years, and I've shot tons of halibut with that. I use a 50-inch mid handle because
50.
I could shoot sea bass. Like everyone goes, I'm going for halibut. I'm taking a halibut gun.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's dumb. You could see other stuff. So
Right.
Yeah.
take one that could do both. Like,
Well,
and
well, don't jump too far. That's
Yeah,
gonna be one of my
yeah.
questions here. Like,
Yeah.
that's the holy grail. My goal is this whole debate between halibut and sea bass is when one's around, the other's nearby. It's just that time of the year, and it's why I find this time of the year most exciting. And lobster's great, whatever, but like this is the time. This is. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I prefer to pull a trigger and shoot something than to muck around and get a handful of urchins and bust it up knuckles. I mean, but yeah, we're gonna get into that because that's a very good question. You guys, both of you guys have mentioned these Hawaiian shafts. What is a Hawaiian shaft? I'm not even sure what you guys are talking about. What
Just
do
a
you refer to?
flopper,
Just
like
a flopper?
a
Just
thin
single-
shaft,
just
like a
thin-
Euro shaft, sorry,
Okay.
a Euro shaft.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's one that it's not threaded. It's like integrated into.
Well,
the
right.
shaft.
Okay. Okay. So it's just a flopper shaft.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's Hawaiian shafts and Tahitian shafts, I think.
Tahitian is a
have
double
flopper
flopper,
on-
right?
no, that's a cork.
That's a cord.
The Tahitian has the flopper on top,
Mm-hmm.
and the Hawaiian has it on the bottom.
Okay.
And there are ways to tune your floppers. You guys are so lucky because you have dive clubs and you got the internet and you got YouTube. When we were growing up, when we were growing up, it was the school of hard knocks. You maybe had a mentor. I was blessed to have Matt Lum, and he was kind of my older brother, and growing up and learning from him. But we were still, modifying our own gear. Now you've got every shade of shaft and tip, but back then you just kind of dealt with what you had. But we would sharpen this is rounded here. We would sharpen and then bend it out just a little bit. That way, any movement against it would make it pop up. And you can also crimp it just very gently so that it pops and stays once it's out. So, you know, any dive store can help you with that, but there are definitely ways that you can fine tune your shafts to be more efficient. And, you know, does it make a difference? I can use a Zebco rod fishing carp reef and get away with it most days, but the day that a 20-pound sea bass comes, it's going to school me. So that's why you use, you know, your Shimano gear, your gear that's better. So, you know, you only need it when you need it is kind of what I say, but that's why I do it.
Well, the one nice thing about tuning those floppers as well is, you know, it should be 1/4 inch off the shaft. If you just have it loose, it's gonna clink around in the kelp if you do decide to fuck halibut and go for sea bass like an adult.
Yep.
Thanks, Nick. Where were we? You guys all shooting inline then? I mean, reels, breakaway, or like what that looks like it's rigged for inline, right? Your gun?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not breakaway, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just inline attached.
And I've shot a million sea bass and I shot a million halibut, and I would say sea bass, halibut has never swam up to me 1 foot away where I'm like, oh my gosh, get away from me, buddy, I need to shoot you. So I actually think shooting halibut is a little harder if you're around the sea bass. It takes more of an eye. I've taken so many friends and like, I can't find them, you know. And sea bass, I'm like, there they are, they swim up, you know. In defense of the adult comment.
My eyes have gotten progressively worse, and I've gotten
Sandbox.
But he said this for a long time, so.
my eyes have gotten progressively worse, and I've gotten progressively better at spooking halibut. So.
Eyesight's huge, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking for. We'll get.
Yeah, that's we'll get into that. But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, sea bass are difficult because they're for me they're either there or not. Halibut, it's kind of like I don't really know until I see one. I don't know. You're looking for minute details. Is why I like the
So
halibut.
here's the thing with halibut. If I could clear this room in 20 minutes and spook 2, or I could clear this room in 30 minutes and not spook any and shoot 2, that's the thing. So the better the viz, the slower you go. The worse viz, which I like, the faster you can go, and you can clear that room. You're like a SWAT team guy. And so you're mentally like a cartographer, and you're like, know the reef, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna focus on this quadrant. I'm searching all around. Okay, this is clear. That one clear. That one clear. All right, where are they hanging out today? Are they in the shallows? Sometimes I like checking the shallows right away, get warmed up. Sometimes they're all right there. Sometimes they're 12 feet deep, way off the reef, and the current's better over there, and they're like, oh, I'm over here. So for me, it's like, how many can I not spook? So if I could do that, I'm just going as slow as I can.
Is it just getting close, or is it like movement, quick movement? Is it?
So you got to kind of think like a halibut. They're hunting, but they don't want to be hunted, and so yeah, it's movement. So for me, I brought my fins in because I wanted to show you instead of me acting it out. Like I developed this technique where I have like 1 foot up like this, right? And then my waist is bent 90 degrees like that. And then this foot is like my propeller. And so I could like stabilize my body upside down like this and just do a little half kick. And then I kind of like glide through so I'm not going so fast, because if you're using both fins and trying to stay forward progressing, you're moving too fast. So then you have to add a lot more weight. I add like way more weight than my sea bass deal. And I'm just kind of like, this is like the periscope I call it, and I just kick and just like kind of scan around like so with that gun really close. So go as slow as you can and be as weighted as you can. And I kind of bend at the hips so then I'm not exposing my fins down below, because their eye level is looking like that. So I want to still be above them, you know.
I think I dive with 28 pounds of weight. And because most of my diving is in 3 to 6, 7, 8 feet of water in really bad viz, so I want to be glued to that bottom. Duke Brownfield made he made a big oval about this big out of the side of a blue plastic barrel, 55-gallon drum, and lined it with inch-thick wetsuit material. Cut 2 slits in it, and it makes a nice brace for your back and kind of sticks it right to your back, doesn't move it around. So, and it spreads that weight a little bit more on your lower back, so.
Some people use the vests too.
I use a vest.
I've bought the vest, I've used it. I actually kind of get scared about the vest because I'm so much in the kelp and stuff sometimes when I'm not just pursuing halibut, and I get scared I'm gonna like wrap up and die. But the vest is really good to lower that upper portion of your body and hinge at your hips, so then you're more hunting without showing your legs down low, you know. I don't know.
I use a vest.
I use a vest.
I know a guy who uses those ankle weights. He puts two of them around his neck.
Yeah.
No, Devereaux Doug has it like that. No, he's filled up. Remember, he filled up bicycle
That's who he's-
tubes.
that's who he's
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
But
That was the old
bicycle
school way.
tubes, and then they're tied off, and he throws those over it like a gun harness. Yeah.
So
And that guy's done that for 30 years.
If anyone wants to see halibut, you were speaking about Devereaux earlier. Devereaux is the best freaking place ever to dive. I can't believe they stole that from my childhood. Go dive Devereaux when it's clear, and you're gonna see a bunch of halibut. So many halibut.
From the jailhouse to the point, I've seen them in this deep of water out to 6-8 feet of water in the eelgrass channels. Spot on.
And that way you could train your brain to know what you're looking for, and you're kind of observing that bottom and the rocks or the grass, and you're like, oh, they like to be here, and then you know what to look for when you're hunting them elsewhere.
So another really good tip you hit on, it's muscle memory. Like you want to be able, I can recognize a situation, go, okay, there's most likely gonna be halibut right over in that little depression there. If you don't have much water time, just go on YouTube and just watch endless YouTube videos, and it really will, you'll find yourself, whether you're hunting sea bass, oh gosh, there's that kelp room, and I bet you I've seen in video, and sure enough, there's a fish. Or, you know, you see the shelf and the eelgrass going back and forth. I've never seen a halibut with the feather boa going over it,
No.
but they love the eelgrass going
Yep,
over it. It's
yep.
funny.
Yeah.
They don't like things going over their faces.
Except for eelgrass.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
see them in the
yeah.
eelgrass.
I
I've
concur.
seen one with feather boa. It was on a rock.
Yeah.
Out at Vista.
Okay.
And unfortunately, I took the shot from the wrong angle and it tore off. But I was surprised that it was up on a rock, feather boa going over each side of it. So I've seen it.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna shoot on a rock, this tip,
Yeah.
because it only has to go in enough to not pull out.
And if you can try to shoot the fish head on, as it swims away, it's going to swim up your shaft. That's the ideal shot there. If it's not a stone shot, there's kind of a triangle right where there's a little feeler fin, like the pec fin. That's where I ideally want to shoot, but if I miss that, then I want to try to get a head-on shot with as much angle, because then he's going to swim up the shaft and at least get stuck.
So we've kind of touched on it already, but like, so you mentioned, it sounds like you guys are all pretty shallow. I mean, we're talking about coastal diving. You mentioned islands, it's a little bit different.
I don't.
You
I don't go shallow.
You don't go shallow, okay, so.
I mean, I do at night and sure.
Right, but so here's the point. What kind of terrain are you looking for? So we hear that boa kelp isn't great. Eelgrass can be 6 to 8 feet or 10 to 12. Seems to be the ideal zones for you guys. Tony, it sounds like you have a different tactic. Where
Yeah.
are you
Are
looking?
you diving coastal halibut?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. What are you looking
Okay.
for, Tony?
Well, I just haven't seen as many big ones close.
So
I've seen lots of big ones in 10 feet plus, like 10 to 20.
So in that cut in the zone, you're starting to almost get into the kelp at that
Yeah.
point, all along our coast, because our kelp starts right around 15, 20. So you're looking in between
Just
the-
everywhere, yeah.
You're looking
Before
between the
kelp and around
grass,
the kelp.
the boa kelp, and then you got those outer, I call it like the cabbage patch, the bright green and
Yeah.
red stuff, and then you got your sand channels. So you're looking into those sand channels beyond the cabbage patch in front of the kelp? Is that kind
Yeah,
of the
I just
zone?
look for rocks and
Wow.
eelgrass.
100%, except for the islands when they're in that mud, I'd say pretty much 100% of my fish have been associated with structure.
Right.
I just don't, and whether that's I just don't spend time in the sand barrens, and structure can be as little as to the east side of the pier, you get those rows of sand dollar beds, and then you get sand between those kind of channels of sand dollar beds. And
I've looked for the dollar beds, and I've seen videos, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna find them. I've never found them in the sand dollars, but
Yeah.
I see, yeah.
I think it's spot dependent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Certain spots
like,
stay on.
so, you know, some spots, general areas, they're a lot more shallow. Certain spots, they're a little bit deeper, like wide open sand. Sometimes you can just swim around and they're just sitting right in the sand, you know? And so that's
With that being said, I would find one spot and work that
Yeah.
spot. Know that spot, know the conditions, know where they are. And then once you dial in one spot, you're like, I got this honey hole, I know where they are. Like,
Right.
I have certain spots where I could be like, the halibut are there. One day I got skunked at a spot, I drove to my honey hole, and I swam straight out there, dove, and shot one. I was like, yeah, because I got skunked there. Like, you know, so dive one spot and learn, like he's saying.
Right.
where
The
they
more
are.
you pattern a spot, I mean, in high school, I dove every single day. You know, this much, I've speared halibut in literally 1 foot of viz because I knew there was this big rock and there was a really nice kind of deep depression just below it, so I'd go right to it. And I'd have my thumb in the trigger, and I would just kind of poke my head over and go, yep, there you are.
So, Mark?
Yeah, I've kind of noticed from my little experience that they do, I think they hide by something because that's where another little fish is going to come and hang out.
Yep.
They want to have a place to ambush.
You're ambush predators.
I was at the island scuba deep, and one place we would dive, and there was an old abandoned lobster trap. And one day I just was diving looking for halibut, not seeing shit, and I swam over there. And oh, there's one. Plugged him. Came back 2 years later, found the same lobster trap. I'm like, oh, we're gonna go check it out. Oh, there's another one. And so they want a little something. It was all flat otherwise.
Yeah.
And they were right there, but I didn't see them anywhere else. So.
Dave, you might remember, I mean, how many guys dove the anchor
Oh,
on the truth boats, and there's always a halibut on the anchor line.
Well,
you
that
know?
was Jerry's big thing. He's
Yeah.
like, if it's an overnight, dive directly under the ship, you're gonna find halibut.
Yep.
And Jerry's really the one that kind of turned me on to halibut diving because what's his freaking last name right now? Spacing. Jerry
Boylan.
Boylan, thank you, God. He would talk your ear off. Like, if you ever asked him what was your favorite kind of diving, he'd say halibut diving. And I never understood because I never saw him. I barely saw an undersized sea bass at Campus Point years prior. Like, I was still shooting calico and, you know, considering whether or not I really want to shoot a sheep's head. And so I never saw halibut. But he's like, dude, go under the boat. Go under the boat. And he tell me all these stories of swimming through eelgrass, and it was his favorite thing.
We see.
Whose rides here? Anybody? Somebody got
On your back. I was making sure.
Halibut was illegally shot.
Hey, who's getting nervous in
I
here?
got a question.
What's up, Jesse?
I've heard that when you see bat rays, the likelihood you're gonna see halibut is low.
I agree.
That's
Yes,
been
I
my
agree.
experience.
And
Yeah.
angel sharks. So,
Oh, see, I
like you're saying, they're
I disagree.
eating and they don't want to be eaten. So when I see angel sharks, I kind of am like, gosh darn it. Like, there's angel sharks around here. And normally all the rays congregate and like, I'm like, oh, angel sharks, bat rays. And then I'll find like, oh, this is where the halibut sanctuary is, you know?
Deeper.
I think that's spot
Well, so do you
dependent
think that
again.
it's
Yes.
Like if you see bat rays, like, oh, go somewhere else?
No, it's
At the
spot
islands,
dependent.
yes.
It's not every
At the
time.
islands,
It's spot dependent because I
Huh?
saw bat rays every single time
Yeah.
I dove with butterfly.
if I looked.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but the halibut are there.
Yeah.
So I think it's really kind of spot dependent.
Sometimes I'll actually, like certain spots, I'll actually look, if I'm not seeing a lot of halibut, I'll actually look for where the bat rays are and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna kind of cruise along this line and then I
Yeah.
find them.
But the bat rays, they don't eat halibut. I mean,
No, but they can spook them.
It's more the angel sharks, I think.
Yeah.
See, I disagree with the angel sharks. In fact, my most productive spot that I've gone to time and time again.
Right.
I saw an angel shark, followed it, decided whether or not to shoot it. It kept nestling down, and I kept spooking up, just following around. Finally, I'm like quarter mile down the beach. I'm like, you know what the hell? That turn around, boom, there's a halibut, shot it. Turn around, boom, there's another halibut, shot it. Came back the next day, dove that spot, and it's been the spot ever since. And I see angel shark anytime I see the angel shark.
Where
I
was
think,
it, you said?
It's in the ocean just off the coast
So
here.
you pushed the angel shark a quarter mile away. And the logic is that was where the
Well,
angel
then
shark
now I got that spot. There's angel sharks laying around there.
Oh.
In fact, if you saw the video that I posted on our groups on our Instagram, that's me. And I pet an angel shark, and I ended up shooting that halibut, which is the screenshot, which is you were touching on watching YouTubes if you can't get it and everything. That's why I chose that photo, because for me, when I learned how to find these things, that's what I'd do. Is I'd watch countless YouTube videos, and right before I can see him shoot it, reverse, pause right before. I'm like, okay, what is he looking at? What is it? What are we getting to? And so that's the next question I'm going to ask. What is it that says that sand is not this sand? That sand has a halibut. This sand has nothing. Like, what are you guys looking for?
So I'll share kind of a funny story. Doug Cole, old pseudo diver, he had this girlfriend who was one of the Budweiser girls.
Awesome.
Remember the 80s,
Oh, yeah.
the bikini Budweiser
The
girls?
calendars, yeah, all that.
So he takes her out to the Winfield Scott, which is an epic halibut and sea bass spot, and I'm happy to tell you that because now it's a closure, so you can't shoot them there. But he took her there when it was still open, and he's like, "Here I am, man. I will go spear a big halibut for my woman," you know. And he goes out there and he just works the deep water and gets like a 24-inch halibut, which at the islands they don't exist. All the island fish are big, and he couldn't believe he got such a short one, you know. And he swims back to the boat, and the girl had been in real shallow, and he shows her the halibut. He's like, "Oh, is that what you're looking for? There was a bunch of big ones in shallow." and here's the punchline. She says it was like, "Where's Waldo?" And I really internalize that. And what I look for is amongst the chaos, something that stands out amongst that chaos. Yeah. A straight line. The sand, sometimes the fish will be so buried you can't see the eyes, but you'll see if they're big enough, their lateral line will almost kind of divot in, and you'll see you'll see their fin just gently feathering in the current.
Yeah.
Anything that stands out, sometimes you just see a corner of their tail, and you really have to search, and you're like, okay, where? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in addition to that, I think what I've naturally gravitated towards my style, it's kind of the same thing, but I'm not looking for anything. I'm just observing the whole area, and then if something stands out, then I get curious about it. Like if you see like a skate tail, or you see all of a sudden the sand has a different texture and you poke it and it's like a little ray that goes away or something. Just being curious about like what's the norm if something's out of the
Totally.
norm. Then,
Yeah, it's like the movie The Matrix. You're finding the mistake in the Matrix because that halibut is the mistake. You're like, no, dude, no, that's good, but I see you. You know, you're looking at, like you're saying, the big picture, and you're like, this doesn't add up. What is that? And you're like, oh, there he is.
One thing too is if you see an obvious short, like just stare at it, just look at it, just keep looking at it, kind of like get a little bit closer and get as close as you can to like spook it, and you'll start to understand more how they kind of behave.
To that point, I think I've seen a couple of videos on YouTube how they bury themselves and they, their fins on the outside, they kind of flick those up to fluff the sand over them. And because of that, there's a couple areas that are a little harder to hide. The face.
Yeah.
And what I've actually noticed more than the face is where the body goes into the tail.
Yeah.
That little area, they can't seem to bury that. So
Yeah.
sometimes you'll be seeing, wavy lines of sand and then just a little semicircle. And you can see that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit.
The thin part of the tail before it fans out.
Right.
There's one summer.
And you were saying you like getting in front and they swim into the pool.
Yeah.
But I think of them, like I want to think like a halibut. Okay, I'm hungry. I like point breaks because that's where it's like one of those sushi restaurants where the thing comes around in a circle. These are the most lazy freaking fish on earth. And they're like, okay, how do I eat without moving as much as possible? So they just sit here and they're like, oh, the food's coming this way. And they look that way. So I actually kind of like coming up from behind also. And because I feel like they're looking up current, waiting for their meal. and I hunt them while they're hunting, and I hit them in the back. So I think all angles work, but you also got to think like a halibut, like where is he focused, where's the current, and where's this lazy fish gonna eat, you know?
And also the light. I used to dive a lot after school, which is kind of like dusk. And I found that going towards the sun at dusk, my shadow isn't going to precede me and potentially alert them to me. So and you'll see different spots, the way the light hits the water. Sometimes you get a little bit more viz going just a little bit different direction.
I found they get more sketched out if you come up from behind them. For some reason, if you go towards them, they'll just wait and wait.
Staring contest?
Yeah, or then you just keep going past them if you can't get a shot on them, then just turn around and shoot them. But they, like, if your shadow, anything, goes above them, if they're looking, if you're coming up from behind them, they bolt a lot easier, I found.
Has anyone shot a angel shark by mistake?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Has anyone shot an electric ray by mistake?
Yes,
Last summer I was diving and I saw a halibut probably this freaking big, and I thought it was an angel shark. No. And I was like, that looks just like a halibut. That's too big to be a halibut. And for literally a minute I was like, I don't want to shoot an angel shark. That's embarrassing. And it just goes.
Was it?
And it was the biggest halibut I've seen in my life.
Was it in town?
It was in town. I mean, what do you call in town?
Don't worry about it.
Without, no,
you don't need to figure this out. Don't figure it out. You're fine.
It was below
You're fine.
Refugio. It was
It
below
sounds like you meant the
Refugio.
doorman, which I meant.
It was below Refugio.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
I swam over the
I
spot.
feel like that's the doorman. I've seen that fish.
I've dove, and I like to look for where would they sit in between stuff. And if it's too skinny for a fish I'd want to take, I just keep moving like really quickly. And there's this one spot I'm like, that'd be perfect for halibut. And it was like, you know, like a table and a half wide. I'm like, well, there's no halibut. Like, this would be a perfect spot for halibut.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing popped. It was in between eelgrass and like little plants and like that.
They can take over the whole
Yeah,
direction.
it was like,
Yeah.
it took it all over.
Yeah.
So that the whole thing was a halibut.
Yeah.
And before, then I looked back because I just had some feeling. I looked back, and I just see it go. The slowest swim away where I couldn't do anything about it. It was the most frustrating thing.
The big
It's
one's
easy
going
50-inch
away.
halibut. I've seen big
Yeah.
halibut. This one was like, it swam away, and it pissed me off so bad because it was so slow. Just like right into the murk. And I'm like, well,
The big ones have like almost like a triple ripple in them, and like you said, they just go into the dark.
and it didn't even bolt.
They didn't get that big for no reason.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned coming up on them. You'd said you like shooting from behind.
No, I'm just saying most people like coming up in front.
Okay.
And I found that if you go slow enough, they are really spooky from the back, but you could still get them. And I feel like if you move slow enough, they're not really. I don't know. It's all about speed for me.
So, is there a preferred way that you like to shoot them, or is it just whatever holds best for you guys? Because as
Sometimes
you
you don't
mentioned,
have
Marco,
Yeah.
Most of the time you don't have a choice.
Swim up the shaft.
Yeah.
I mean,
I had shot only. I'm not messing up those fillets, so and then it doesn't rip as. I don't know.
A lot of the time you don't have a choice, like what direction you shoot it from. If you have like, I think preferred if you have a choice, like you're like, okay, this fish isn't going anywhere, or it's really clear and you see him from far away, then I think the best is to shoot him from behind. Probably hunting them is probably good from behind, because then you can kind of ambush them a little bit. But I don't think that you ever are like, when you spot one, you're not like, oh, what angle should I shoot this from?
Right.
Is this the best angle to shoot it from?
Sure.
So it's, yeah.
I just feel like if you read forums and whatnot, you hear everybody talking about, oh, shoot them so they swim up your shaft, and then thinking, you know, all
That's
the
why
same
you
lines.
have
Like,
three
I'll shoot them the
bands,
best
it
way I
doesn't
can, but
matter,
I'm
you
not going for anything. I didn't know if you guys follow the same. I think it's just internet banter is what gets with that going.
I have seen that if a halibut spooks, it doesn't spook with like the emergency 911, like it's going to Catalina. If it spooks and then kind of like, it'll generally go in a straight line past the limit of the visibility and then find some sand and settle down.
And
So-
it turns. I find it goes straight and then turns, and you got to figure out which
Does
way
it
it
turn?
turns.
So here's a question. because you have left eye and right eye.
Yeah.
So turning left eye or right eye,
That's
have you
interesting.
noticed?
That
Sometimes
could be
I feel
Is
like
it
they
heavier
go-
to the right because the right eye, or heavier to the left? I mean, what are we talking here?
If you spook a halibut at that tripod, it's in this room. And now all of a sudden, I raise up my level and I'm like, all right, he's on higher alert. I got to be on higher alert. I'm going slow.
Yeah, so high
And-
alert for you is slow.
Yeah, and then about the third time, sometimes they get a little lazy and they're like, oh, you're on a rock. You know, like I see you. But
Yeah.
I've played Ring Around the Rosie with so many halibut, and I feel like the slower you move right when you spook them, you got a better chance. But they're not going 100 feet away.
Yeah,
They're going 20 feet.
yeah.
Have you guys seen many circle back and go right back under you before?
I've heard that. I've never
I've
seen
had it
it.
3 times.
Oh, really?
One time that I followed it with my gun, it went right under me. And but it's like one time I thought it was a bat ray. And I, flick it with my pin or my gun, and it's like, shoo! And he came down, and and he's like, oh! And it was right under me. I couldn't have followed it. And the third time I finally got one. But have you seen that where they come right?
I haven't, not right under me, but
No, it was crazy. I've seen it 3
pretty
times.
close.
I've had that with sea bass where, again, kind of similar to the halibut, they don't jet off the Catalina. They're just kind of like, whoop, and they just kind of float away.
They're
If
lazy.
you hang right there in that spot, give it 5 minutes, that thing will probably be right where you saw it last. It's just come right back around. You're like, there you are again, and, take your shot if it's big enough. So I've
They're
seen that
going
with
to their
halibut.
honey holes, too.
Oh, excuse me, sea bass.
Yeah.
Yes.
If his is decent, do you have like a sweet spot range where you find his like the best to
Decent?
not spook him and see him at the same time, distance from the bottom?
I'm trying to get as far away from the fish as possible, essentially. So, and when it's decent. So, like, I'll dive down, I'll dive in the 20s and the 15 too, when it's really good, but you're just moving way slower. So you want to get as far away as possible. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know what
Would you say you're trying to cut the distance from the bottom of the surface in half? and so
No,
you're
it's
floating
more
it out?
like how he could see me. So, like, I want to be as far away from him as possible.
You want to spot them
So-
as
Yeah.
far away as possible.
Yeah, I'm using my eyesight. So if it's better viz, now I'm at the surface, blasting from the surface. you know.
Okay.
Well, keep in mind, the further you are up the bottom, the wider
Right.
your range of
And that's what I'm gonna
visibility
get to.
is.
So let's say you have a typical kind of shit day, a 6 to 8 foot dive. How far out are you looking ahead of you and scanning to look for these fish? On a 6 to 8, or maybe just call it 10-foot viz.
As close as you could, as far away as you could get with this gun and the shaft. You know.
So you're looking out as far out.
Yeah.
So you're not,
Yeah.
okay. So you're not scanning.
I'm never
here.
looking in this zone. I'm looking
Got it.
like that big picture he was talking about.
Got it. So you're looking peripheral all the way out to the muck line, if you will.
And the majority of my diving was around eelgrass, so I would always be holding on to eelgrass. I mean, like literally crawling along.
Yeah.
You know
So
what I mean?
I've only seen a couple in the eelgrass. How are you tackling eelgrass? Because for me, eelgrass is just a mess of, I don't know what's going on. How are you able to spot them? Like, it just seems to be everywhere and anywhere and doesn't make any sense.
So
Slow.
I'm looking
How do
for
you find them?
where I dive. There are rock shelves with eelgrass on them.
Okay, so you got
So-
sand underneath. You're not
Yeah.
Yeah.
actually diving the eelgrass
No, I'm right-
bed where it separates. and
Right.
there's-
Go to Leadbetter and just look at those sand channels. Those
Yeah.
are
Got
the
it.
perfect
Oh,
ones.
okay,
like,
got it.
In between.
That's a really
You
good.
just see it
yeah.
like go like that, and it's better if you know that there's sand in the middle.
Sure.
Like there's mallet spots we go in Malibu that you just know that there's sand channels in between
Got it.
that eelgrass.
Okay.
Well, they nestle in the eelgrass too. So
Yeah.
it's not like you're like digging through the eelgrass looking
Right.
for them. You're just if you want to hunt an eelgrass for them because you know they're there,
Yeah.
then you're gonna take the time to like let the current take the eelgrass over, and then maybe
Sure.
you'll see a fin or you'll see a fish or something.
Got it.
Because obviously it's hard for them to really nestle in the sand if there's a bunch of eelgrass around. Some of them will just be right wide in the open in the eelgrass. I think someone had something to say over there.
Oh, I have my hand up. You guys had talked about at the beginning, high tide or approaching high tide, towards dusk. Like, how many hours before sunset is that for you guys? Like a couple hours, like the lights get low?
It's more before the peak high tide, so I want to hit it an hour before, and these fish come in right before. I feel like.
So you think you prioritize tide over light?
It's hard to match the two up.
It's hard,
Yeah.
but
so-
I think dusk too. It's hard.
Well, I think that high tide's important, and I think the dusk is important.
Yeah.
You can go on a low tide at dusk and do really good, but like you said, you can go at noon and you can find halibut, but the best time is high tide at dusk. So dusk would be like, depending on how long you can be in the water for, or how long you want to be in the water for,
Yeah.
I'd say probably like a couple hours before dusk or an hour before dusk. Like, I'm the same way, hour before high tide, hour after high tide.
Yeah.
That's like the zone where it's probably.
And for beginners, I highly suggest, or even for me, I'm only diving point breaks.
Yeah.
I think point breaks is the number one thing. If you want to skunk me, it's on my way back from diving somewhere else, and we stop at Mesa Lane, and there's this huge flat piece of coast, and I'm like, where are the halibut? I don't see them.
Where are you sitting on the point?
And so that's what I mean. So like if Campus Point goes like this, you know, I'm down at the bottom here most of the time where the structure meets the sand, and I'm 15 feet into the structure and 30 feet into the sand, because normally there's scattered rocks. And normally on a pushing high tide, the current's working down like this.
Yeah.
And the ultimate secret is when it's low tide, the current sucks like this off the top of the point. And I find that going above the point in that sand, they're hanging out. So if it's low tide, I'm actually not looking on the lower side of this point. I'm like, I go check in, I'm like, oh yeah, they're up there. And they're, because they want that water coming into them. And then they're at the top of the point where the sand, like Rincon or something, where indicators is, and they're like just waiting for their meal there, so.
But the only time you'd be able to indicator would be with that low tide kind of reverse current, which is like
Not necessarily.
And on that, on that note, letter of the law, you're not supposed to be within 50 yards of a creek mouth. But I will say, I heard a story from an old timer.
Why is that, real quick?
For salmon. Salmon and steelhead. They don't want people plugging salmon and steelhead.
Spirit, yeah.
It's an old antiquated law.
Oh, got
I think it's
it.
100 yards.
Because I'm always.
Is that-
Yeah, I think it's far. It's
Have I ever heard of anyone getting a ticket for that? Never. But I
We
can't.
actually asked Scott that point blank.
Yeah.
One time, he said, no, I wouldn't give you tickets.
Yeah, I call those the meth head
It's for
laws.
salmon, it wouldn't- But, you know, that's a good.
Yeah, another time he also said, well, maybe if the creek is flowing, it might.
But having said that, there was a commercial fisherman who accidentally left a freshwater hose on overnight off of the back of his boat. And the place was littered with halibut the next day. He just dropped, it was just fooling
Oh,
around.
shit. Create his own
And
creek, river mouth.
so he felt very strongly that fresh water drew them
Attracts
in,
them?
that change of
Interesting.
salinity. So for whatever that's worth. But creek mouths
Yeah.
will typically have the right size cobble and boulder with sand in between. And it doesn't necessarily have to have eelgrass. I like the eelgrass, but I don't necessarily hunt specifically only the eelgrass when I find boulder fields with sand channels. And, a sand channel that's this big can hold a 26-inch halibut. They could wiggle in there and get skinny almost.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how little sand it takes to hide one of those guys.
If you guys have a friend who's really good at killing halibut, take him every time, say, I'm buying gas, bring a 6-pack, whatever, and like Macaulay Culkin and Uncle Buck, ask him as many consecutive questions you can do, and then when you're diving, pop up and be like, where is he? And start looking at that. I didn't shoot many halibut, I was like always about sea bass, And in 2018, I started taking this guy, and I just literally asked him and followed him, and I was like, I didn't get a halibut for a long time. And then I started understanding and crunching that like data in my head, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I get it. So it takes a lot of time and just time in the water. So don't give up and get someone good and kind of get cheap cliff notes off him,
Yeah. What kind of beer do you like? Jesse,
Do you
you got a
guys
question?
mark your guns, like if you're shooting in town and,
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
always
Yeah.
kind of questionable
I mark my float line.
on the float. So you use a float line for halibut?
Yeah, I use float line for everything.
I use a 20-foot float line, and not like the huge one, and I just shoot and let them kind of run a little bit, and then pull the knife, and then.
I think a float line, I've always dove with only a float line.
Yeah.
I really like, especially in bad viz, if I'm hunting lobster or halibut, if I find a fish at the end of my breath hold and I just not secure in shooting it with no air left, I'll pass it and dump my gun into the eelgrass, come up, breathe up, go back down, grab my gun, and now I'm oriented to where that fish is going to be.
Right, so using your gun with the float line as a marker.
I think it's for people to see you so that
Right.
you don't get run over.
Sure.
Float lines are superior.
Mhm.
And I measure,
Yeah.
measure with it.
So that was going to be the
And if I
next.
choose sea bass.
How do you determine size? Like I've heard and read that distance between eyes is an indicator of length. Have any of you guys heard about this?
Yes.
In which
Nick-
case, I'm
Nick
not
told-
familiar
Nick told
with
me
it.
that.
What's that?
Nick told me that.
Oh,
You put your thumb there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in between, yeah.
So if it's as big as your thumb, that's
I think
the legal
if
legal
once,
halibut?
it's just like lobster or anything. You do it a lot, you
Right.
just know. Like, I could tell you, I'm like, that one's pushing
Yeah,
it.
but for those that aren't to that level, what would be a good indicator of like, oh, that one is definitely legal, whereas this one is questionable or
They look
not?
long enough.
No, yeah, well, that.
Yeah, but you're talking about a fish.
No, if you have to think about it, don't shoot it.
Yeah, fair
I
enough.
promise, if you think,
He's
just like how.
exactly right. If you have to think
about
about
it,
it,
don't shoot it.
don't
There's no
shoot
point.
it.
I've never had somebody go, oh, I lucked out. I mean, it's 22.1. You're like, yeah, but those other 4 were 18, so you don't know. Like, just don't shoot it.
If you spend enough time in the water, you're going to shoot a short halibut. If you're shooting halibut, you're going to shoot one. I've shot plenty of short halibut.
Me too.
But and also,
and so when you
get them onto the side.
And so
In
when
case
you
they have to be free.
so if you shoot a short halibut, if you're not sure about it, and you got to shoot halibut, shoot it in one of its wings because it'll 100% heal from that.
If you shoot a short halibut, what I like to do is put it all in the oven at once.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at is that after a while, after shooting enough fish, after shooting enough short fish, you start to realize what a short fish looks like.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after you shoot enough not short fish, you start to realize, but there will be dives where you go out, and if you start seeing a lot of fish, all of a sudden you get frustrated because you're like, God damn it, they're all short.
Yeah.
Like there's places in town where there's just nothing but short fish, and eventually you're going to see that one that's a little bit bigger.
I find that right about 21 and a half inches, the fish starts to get wider.
Yeah.
If you catch a 19-inch fish, it's skinny, right?
It's more torpedo, less football.
Exactly.
Got
At
it.
about 22 inches and 23, 24 inches, they get a certain width, and it's become, a muscle memory. In high school, I was shooting dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of fish every year. And I got to the point where I could shoot a 22 and an 1/8 inch fish, and I was spot on. I was just, boom, that thing's legal. Keep in mind, they can shrink. So you can shoot a legal fish, whether you dump it on the beach and bury it in the sand, which I don't do, but some people might.
It's riggered. And
But by the time you get it, and it's sitting on the boat, or they will shrink a little bit. So keep that in mind.
This is off topic, but I feel like halibut fishing is like this inner competitive thing where like how much suffering are you willing to take? And like what's
How
your
much
inner
more sand?
dialogue? And like so I'm always super optimistic in the water right when I get in, and like if I don't see one for an hour, I'm like, what the F?
Oh, yeah.
And so I think it's just like how much suffering you could do of like time in the water, and you want like as many hours as you can. Like this summer, go for like a few hundred hours in the water. And then if you get to that spot, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is easy, So it's how much suffering and time you put in. Because remember, I didn't shoot one for a whole year. And then for the next year, I shot 175 in one summer. And I was like, oh, this is easy. So my friend who was bringing him home, he didn't share any fish with me, by the way. That made it even worse. I think I drove, I bought the beer, I got 0 fish.
No fish for you.
You eat when you're treated.
But just like Marco said, I find it's like, where's Waldo? I've always said that. And I just swim around going, not a halibut, not a halibut, not a halibut, not a halibut, not a halibut. No. Until I see one. I find that fun, but that's just me.
Do you guys find it to be very much a mental focus sort of game, or can you just kind of be laxadated, kind of like, it's general terrain and I'm just going to scan, or are you hyper-focused? Because for me, when I'm diving I'm thinking halibut, kind of similar to you.
I think not halibut.
You think non-halibut?
Yeah,
Well, no,
everything's
I'm
not
keeping
halibut
I
until
guess
you see halibut.
Well, I'm not saying halibut.
I
I'm
know.
just keeping my mind on, like, I'm looking for halibut. I'm not getting distracted by whatever moved over there because I'm looking for halibut. I mean, is that kind of your mental focus when you're done with these
I think
fish?
you gotta be pretty focused, and the reason I say that is I find it really hard to lobster dive and halibut dive at the same time.
Absolutely.
I find I do both poorly,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, same with scallops. Don't mess with them because you're not gonna. Yeah. Well,
It's-
scallops.
I
you
think
probably
it
can.
has to do with how you're focusing and how you're reading
The terrain.
what's in the terrain in front of you, and how you're processing that data.
Yeah, I think if you're gonna be going out in the water anyways, I think you just like being out in the water.
Mhm.
That some part of you does. I think, the only thing, for me, the end goal isn't necessarily to kill a fish, it's to be in the water and be doing what I'm doing.
Agree.
So that's kind of first and foremost, like, I think that's why we all get into the sport in the first place.
Yeah.
And then, I don't find I focus at all. In fact,
Yeah.
I find that I'm present, but I'm not focusing, I'm just present being there, and that's what helps with, like, not having to find a halibut. That's not
Sure,
my focus.
sure.
My focus is just kind of observing everything and just diving.
Yeah, noticing how
And
it moves.
Then they appear. It's like that old adage, and I actually found this to be true because I loved reptiles when I was younger and would like always be looking for reptiles. And I found that when you weren't hunting for the snake, you'd find it. So
There's a motto I've noticed, if you ever want to see big calico, don't dive with a gun.
yeah,
It's like they know it.
Yeah.
And so while I'm focused, I'm not like hyper focused, and I feel like they can sense that energy of like versus like, you know, you're focused, but
It's more enthralled in a moment, like you're saying. You're so present. I don't know if focus is the right word, even though I am hyper in this moment where I'm not thinking about anything, but I'm just deciphering everything around me and observing it, not with like a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
but
I
just
suppose what I'm.
Purposeful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like-
suppose what I'm getting at is that when I'm out there looking for these fish, I'm not worried about, oh, I've got to call this guy tomorrow. I've got to do
No,
this. It's
no.
like I am here, and this is what's before me, and I'm only worried about this because this is what I'm doing. And there's anytime I get this distraction of, oh crap, I need to take care of this, that, the other. That's when the sand explodes on me, and I lost focus, and now it's gone. And I'm like, okay, back to halibut. You know, just being in the moment. You know.
I will say, there's an interesting phenomenon. When they're swimming away from you, they look about 15% bigger.
Yeah.
And so.
It's on top of the 10 that everything already is.
You're
in the
right.
water?
No, they do seem bigger when they're swimming away from
Yeah.
you.
Okay.
So keep that in your.
You ever taken a shot at one swimming and beyond?
I have.
Yeah, I have too.
I've actually shot. I saw one and it was gently curving to the left, and it went out of the range of visibility. And by the time I swung my gun around, I'm like, you should be right about there.
Well, I guess, oh, Mark.
Tony, Hallie hammer techniques, nighttime only mostly?
I only use it at night.
Yeah.
I've used it during the day
You
a
got your
couple
float
times.
line on that.
Yeah, I attach my float line to this. This is the one I use every time. Like, because I heard rumors of what one would look like, and my dad owns a machine shop, so I'm like, I took an old shaft. I'm like, could you cut it off, weld it right there, and just made this. I didn't know how big they were supposed to be or anything. And then I'm like, oh, people use this. I like this one way more because you can drive it through the sand and just leave it, like, and then, like, breathe, like, and then go get it.
So when you're running this, are you only halibut
Yeah,
diving?
I only go halibut diving at night with this.
Okay, so you're not somebody that's going lobster diving, halibut diving, or any of that? It's just
Nope.
one target? Got
Yep.
it. Okay.
And when you, with that, is there anything you do differently to get close to it, or just?
Yeah,
They're more up on the top and kind of sleeping a bit, right?
They're not buried, are they? At night, or?
You could spot them a little bit easier.
Got it.
So, but like this, I could. The only time I go in shallow is at night, because I see them like right.
Right.
Like I've stepped on them when I've gotten in the water before.
Across my fins when I'm trying to
Yeah,
put 'em on.
exactly. I've done like the same place like 3 times in a row, and as soon as I put my mask in the water, it's one's right there, took off. But then I usually go out, look around where I'm gonna look, and then when I come back in closer, like I've had it where I can't swim close. I've seen them like so shallow that I couldn't get that far, and I've had to go like and jump over it and sink this one into it. I couldn't have done it with this little one.
I've never spooked a halibut with the hammer at night. It's
Yeah.
pretty much 100% success rate. The first time I ever got one, my wife, I showed up at like 3 in the morning from diving at like 9, and there was police, and she thought I died. And I was like, yeah, oh yeah. So it's literally like if you're a beginner, maybe go try it at night. It's really fun, but it's way easier, and you can see them easier, like you're saying.
They don't spook.
They don't
Once
spook.
in a while you'll get one that'll spook, but most of the time, like
Right,
most of the
that's
time
what
they
I was
don't.
Going for lobster, it's like,
Yeah.
you pick the thing up, get it out of the way.
And this way you could stab them with a knife. You could do a lot of stuff.
Do you wear a light or do you have it in your other hand?
I just carry a light.
I find the mask light is distracting. And it's also, I can't look at something and not illuminate it. Whereas with this, I can just be on the very edge of visibility and creep up on it.
Do you guys like pistol grip lights or what's the,
Pistol grips.
what would you call the other one?
Inline.
Inline, yeah.
I've held down a questionable halibut with my light, and then had a buddy come over. I'm like, see if it's big enough.
Nice. Well, we all know you shot big halibut, you shot many of halibut, so I guess the last question would be, and this is just off topic, but what's the halibut that just irks you because it got away, it tore off, it spooked, like, let's hear about that one that got away, because I've got a couple. But like, what's the one, the halibut that to this day you dream about, you're like, damn.
I have a good one. I was
hear it.
diving with Nick one time, and I just went in, we're at the islands, went in kind of close, shot a good sized one, and I'm swimming back out, and there's some anchors around, and I'm like, oh my God, there's one bigger, it was 40, 50 inches, and I'm like, okay. So I restrung my gun with the halibut still on that, going apeshit, and like got probably a foot away from where I would have taken a shot, and it just goes, whoa, and just swims off so slowly into the distance, and I'm like, and I couldn't bring the halibut, I couldn't swim any faster because this halibut's going to apeshit, and I'm like, I was
You gotta
super,
sail behind
I was
your
literally
dragon.
like 1 foot the whole time, like away from being able to shoot, like where I know I could confidently get it, and it was fucking big. And the other one was 20 pounds that I got, like 20 something that I got. This one was 3 times that size. It's huge.
I had a gun with a reel, and I didn't check the reel before I went out.
Sandy.
And it was a gun that my kid would use, and I think he'd shot something and just like put it back on.
Birds nested up.
So anyways, I was swimming, and it was really shallow, and it was a good size, really good size halibut. And I shot it, and it started taking off, and all of a sudden took a little bit of line out, but then all of a sudden the line wasn't coming out, so I wasn't gonna let go of my gun. So poof, it got off. And but I noticed when I shot it, it had a grunion come out of its mouth, and so I was like, oh, that's interesting. It's been eating, right? So then I was pretty bummed, so I wanted to find it because it was a good sized fish. So I kept swimming around. All of a sudden, I'd see a chunk of half-eaten grunion over here, or like half-digested grunion. And then all of a sudden, the leopard sharks were coming in. You could tell something was going on. So I just kind of followed all the signs, and I actually ended up finding it.
Nice.
Really?
And I had shot it in its heart.
Oh,
So
wow.
it had died anyways. So then it was just dead in the shallows.
You picked up
So
and-
that was the one that almost got away.
Well, that's a great, I mean,
Yeah.
that's just as good as.
I searched
Great
for it for
story.
like an hour and a half.
No way.
Yeah, I was looking for it for a while. I didn't give up.
Damn.
So yeah.
I have 2 kind of funny stories. I remember in high school, finally got a girlfriend. I'm down at the Biltmore Wall, and we're making out at sunset, and it's just so romantic. And she's like, what are you thinking of? And I'm like, Matt Lum's wife the day before had lost a 30-pounder right off the Biltmore, and I was like, all I could see was that fish just going, and I just looked her in the eye and said, you. But I was deckhand on the Truth. We're front side, west end, B Rock, Quail Rock. And Jaime and the boys, it was my time to dive, and I was super tired. And they're like, no, go, it's a good halibut spot.
Yeah.
So
it
I'm
is.
like, okay.
Especially
So-
at 90 feet.
Right? So they're giving the talk on the boat, because if you've never been on these boats, they'll anchor up, kind of let the anchor settle, see how it's swinging. Sometimes they'll put 2 anchors out. This time they put 2 anchors out. And it's 10 or 15 minutes before everyone starts to put their dive gear on and jump in the water. I used to scuba dive with free dive fins. And they're like, go off the bow and go to 90 feet.
Yep.
And I didn't want to jump off the bow, so I go off the stern.
Sure, with the fins. Yeah.
And I'm midships by the time I got my fins on, and I'm descending. I'm midships, and I'm loading my gun. And then as I'm about 30 feet off the bottom in about 60 feet of water, poof! About a 20-pounder took off, and I'm like, "Fuck!" And I was kind of new to hunting the islands at that point. And as the dust settles, I look. Oh, and one other thing, when you're diving the islands, I haven't really seen them. I've seen them rarely on the coast, but bigger fish at the islands in the mud.
The mud.
They will leave a depression in the mud that can be like this deep, that looks exactly like the shape of a halibut. It's like a cookie cutter.
Yep.
And they were there, and they probably spent the night there or whatever, and they either spooked or took off, and you'll see these, and it's really cool to see.
How deep are you finding in the islands?
60 to 80.
So are you scuba?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is scuba. I've shot them in shallow, but it's like a fluke, you know. So as the dust settles and my eyes start to focus, I look, and there's this huge carpet down there, and I'm just all, oh, and I just loaded my gun, I just held my breath, and I'm heavy, and I'm just gliding towards it, and I'm all whack. It just goes, and I got no idea how big it is, and I just drop down. I got this tiny little calico pencil shaft, you know, and I push it through, and all its fins are doing the quiver. Grab both sides of it, and I'm like literally 10 breaths into this dive, you know, and I'm like, okay, don't embolize, and go up slowly, watching my bubbles. As I hit the surface, I hit the anchor line. So I'm like right under the bow of the boat. And I yell, yippee-ki-yay, mother. And Perry comes running up to see what's going on. They're still giving the talk. No, I'm the only guy in the water. And he jumped so high I could see his boots over the rail. I mean, he was like humping and hollering. You know, he's like, yeah! And I'm like, holy shit, this thing's huge. So we bring him back on the deck, and now everyone's watching me. And I had stoned it, but when the shaft pulled through it, because I didn't want to take it off the shaft. I had it under control. It wasn't going out of my hands.
Natural stringer. You
right?
got it. Yeah.
So the shaft pops out, and the nerves reconnect, and this thing's going this far off the deck, you know. And Jaime just grabbed a big old 120 tank and just put it out of its misery. So I'm like, sweet, I'm going back. And they're like, nope, surface to surface. The crew's all, you're on deck, bitch.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
oh!
Yeah. So now I'm like, I'm dying. And so everyone dives, everyone comes back, everyone went off the bow into 90, didn't see anything. So I'm like, let me go. So I go, and I took John Balcones, and he'd never shot a halibut. I'm like, come on, I'll teach you how. You know, I got this little tiny biller, you know, and going down, and sure enough, there's a 24 pounder, and sorry. After I shot the big fish, as I'm grabbing it and getting it under control, I look, and the one I shot was 51 pounds. I saw one that was 20 or 30 pounds bigger. Yeah. And this thing had literally a triple ripple magic carpet ride just out into the deep, you know. So I got all this adrenaline going. So I shoot another 24 pounder. And before I shoot, I'm like, John, where are you? Well, this thing's gonna spook. And John's hiding behind me because he doesn't want to like spook the fish, you know. I get that. Get another 25 pounder. I'm like, John, where are you? You know, like he's hiding. So finally, I'm running out of air. I'm triple skip breathing, and I'm basically free diving from 30 to 45 feet. And I'm like, you're going to kill yourself. Yeah. It was full on buck fever.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, you know.
Oh, dude. I chased one to 120 once and realized, like, because you get that, you start hit the thermocline, and then you get into the brittle stars.
Yep.
And once I saw the thermocline, I saw the brittle stars, I looked down, I'm like, 120? Oh, shit, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I ran back, I didn't get the fish, but yeah, I chased one out to 120. I'm like, oh, shit. Saw the brittle stars, I'm out of here.
So I'm down to like 400, 350 pounds of air left, and I'm like, finally saw like a 12 pounder, and I'm like,
yeah.
I'm out of here, bro, you know.
Yeah,
so.
you're 90 doing 400 pounds, yeah.
Did he get it?
He got it.
Yeah. What are you, Ian? You got a big one?
I got a
or
buddy
one that got away?
who borrowed my dive knife during this dive, and I just mentioned it jokingly to him, and he made fun of me because it's just a halibut, not a sea bass. And I was like, I know, but it's still the one that got away. And I classify the big ones. I call them king halibuts. They just have this different swagger. And I found this king halibut in 2 feet of water, and I shot it. We're having this epic battle. He's biting my fingers. I don't have a knife. And I'm like, that guy, you better shoot a fish. And it got off because it was just like, it was like wrestling in 2 feet of water. Like, I was just stunned. It was like huge. And normally coastal fish are like 28 inches special, you know? You're not always getting like the big one. So that one really bummed me out. And then that last one I was talking about, the angel shark, that was like 40+ pounder. But yeah, the worst one is they were all congregating and I thought I got a double kill, and I was so bummed I didn't. I want a double kill so bad. That's my biggest goal.
You've seen them stacked on top of each other?
Yeah, that 50 had a 20 on it.
Like 8 in a row.
Oh, that's what you did
I've
mention now.
almost got the double kill. That's,
I've never seen them stacked
I've
up.
got one.
Wow.
Have you guys shot free swimmers?
Yeah.
Oh, does.
I've shot one above me.
Yeah, I shot one.
I was digging a scalp and I look up, there's just a boom, shot him above me.
That's awesome.
I did that in Catalina.
Yeah.
The most I've gotten in a dive, don't tell, is me. And the best dive I've ever done was 3 sea bass and 2 halibut in one dive, and I had to go to my truck because I was starting to drown. It's too much weight.
What a problem.
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, anybody got questions, comments?
What kind of recipes do you cook them up?
I've got a great freaking halibut curry cake recipe I can send you. It's and it's got a apricot reduction sauce on top.
So we can cook things for the contest with anything, it's not just forage, I was quick.
This is a spearfishing club, so it's
Well, with
it
the
has to be
fish.
a caught the fish, right?
Yeah, caught
So
the
like
fish,
this
but
month
then
in the
with
newsletter, Bradley got the urchin, so that
Okay.
kind of quality. I mean, yes, it's kind of the main body would be an egg.
So I can do a halibut lasagna. 'cause I wanna
Yeah, oh
do-
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, you got the halibut, you can do the lasagna, but yeah, I mean, you can't be like, oh, I bought a T-bone and made it this way, you know, like, I went out and like, I paid a rancher, I shot the cow, so now I got this sweet steak, you know, like, no, this is spearfishing club, so there has to be some sort of seafood that
But if
you
it's in the
acquire.
water.
And if I don't load my own gun, well, halibut's one thing.
We'll give you half the price, so we'll cut it in half and be like, here's the other half. No, there's no disqualification for that. But yeah, no, it's a spearfishing club, so it has to be some sort of seafood. And, you know, it could be, preferably it's kind of the main, like with Bradley. So for you that don't know or weren't a part of it, Bradley's our monthly winner for the cooking contest, so we will be giving him a surprise here shortly. He made a uni deviled uni egg. Yeah, so deviled eggs with uni. And it's incredible. So I'll post it up on our Instagram after the meeting tonight.
Looks so good.
He also did a really good job. There's a number of topics. It's pinned on our Instagram as far as what the qualifications are. There's presentation, ingredients, and there's a couple of things. But he nailed it out of the park, so he won. But so that would be an example of, it isn't a fish dish per se, but the highlight of it is something they procured from the ocean. So.
How about you guys? You guys have any good halibut stories?
Yeah, let's hear it. Anybody?
None.
No?
I got
None?
one. I've only shot one halibut. I don't know if anybody knows.
Only one?
Well,
Because you're too worried about bluefin or
one and
what?
done.
Okay.
I find it particularly boring, honestly. I spend about 10 minutes before when I get in the water as I'm going out to the sea bass spot or the whatever spot that I'm really interested in.
Sure.
And I'm like, yep, nope, no halibut here, and I just keep going. But I was out at San Nicolas Island with Matt Lum and Terry, and it was the first time I dealt with Matt Lum. This was like a million years ago. And I was a freediving instructor at the time, and I had some sponsorships, so I thought it was pretty fucking cool, you know? But Matt's like, hey, we're gonna dive like the Belle Buoy spot. And Matt's like, hey, you can follow me around if you want. And I'm all like, who the fuck is this guy? I'm like, I'm good. And Terry's laughing. He's like laughing at Matt, right? And so I jump off the boat, and I was actually not hunting anything. I was fucking around with all these massive black sea bass that were there, and I was just like face to facing with them and stuff. And I look out of the corner of my eye, and there's a really big halibut just free swimming. And so I just like kind of drift over and shoot it. I remember throwing it back up. Matt Lum was like, I got a big yellow tail. And then I threw the halibut on deck, and Matt's pretty well known for shooting halibut. He was just like, you fucker.
Your first and only was the
My
free
first and
swimmer.
only, yeah. And then Lonnie actually filleted it from me.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a big fish.
One thing that I do, that I'm starting to do on my halibut is actually on smaller ones, you know, probably up to 30 inches, is instead of splitting it down the center line, you start from the edge and make one fillet. And it works easier than you would imagine it to. It
You
actually,
started from the tail of the gill plate.
no, from the sides.
From the side.
From the side.
Right, so you start right in the middle from
Yeah,
the side?
yeah, and you just literally go straight across, over the spine, and then across.
How big's your fillet knife?
I use,
You just
the
keep it
blade
on.
is,
Yeah, you fold it over.
9 or 10 inches.
Yeah, I'm just, I guess I don't understand how you're making one fillet off the top.
I'll send
Instead
you a
of cutting
video.
it down the
Next
middle.
meeting-
No, I understand what, but I just don't see how, yeah, okay,
You literally, you start the cut,
yeah.
and just like instead of starting on the spine and going towards the sides,
uh-huh.
you do the opposite, and you just kind of keep. I use the old deckhand Russells, you know, the wooden handle, and they're super flexible. So you just kind of just
Yeah.
ride the bones all the way over, and then you kind of go whoop, over the spine, and then it's easy to come out, and you almost have the weight of the half of the fillet pulling the meat away from the bone.
Got it.
At
And
that
so
point.
when you skin them then, because this is
Same
all.
thing. Like,
You just don't cut it completely off the tail and use come off the back and
Yeah.
go over, okay.
Yeah.
Just with a bigger piece, got it.
Do you go from one side all the way across, or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, you think the spine is gonna like affect you, but it's
Right.
pretty easy to pop over it.
That's why I was asking,
Yeah.
how big's your fillet knife and all that?
Yeah,
Interesting.
I think we should bring in halibut in the cooler next meeting and just let people who've never done one see it. and
Do it, yeah.
I was gonna go kill a bunch yesterday evening, but I had like t-ball practice for my son. I was like,
Oh,
Oh.
man.
The other thing that I've been doing, I do a lot more surf fishing now than diving, but on those 22 to 26 inch fish, I'll take the head and the tail off, and I'll freeze them whole, vacuum sealed until I need them, and I find you get a much better quality of the meat. You got them, obviously you got them.
Right, but you're not worried about the skin on it and the slime? when
Yeah,
freezing that way?
I scale them.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
oh, so you
I'm
flat-
processing, but I leave them on the bone, and I got a big
Okay. Just scale
vacuum
them
seal
head-
bag.
Scale them head and tail.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I find that they.
Skin too.
What's that?
You still get the skin.
Yeah, so the skin is gonna get the freezer abuse, and I try not to freeze fish for too long, but I found that it's easier to stack. And then also, I find that both halibut and sea bass, I like to let them rest whole for at least a day. If I can, if I don't need the fish, that night to eat, I find that the flesh kind of firms up. Talking to McCorkle, he's an old commercial fisherman, he passed away last year. There is a problem with fish, primarily out of Monterey, and it's starting to come down, and I've gotten a couple of them, but it's like, when you fillet them, the meat just falls apart, like there's no connective tissue. And we had, a pretty long conversation about what it might be, but I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but I find that having it in the fridge or on ice overnight, and then when I store them on ice, I will store them dark side down. And that's more of a commercial fishing thing, in that the blood will go to the dark side of the skin, as opposed to going the other side. And this will also be a good plug for Ikejime. Spearfishing, you don't really need to do Ikejime, you're kind of doing it.
I think you should. It makes a big difference, especially on the large sea bass.
Yeah.
Like sea bass is like, you have to do that. And a big halibut, but the small ones not. So but letting them rest is key.
I've been doing it on everything for
Yeah.
years now. Big tuna, all the way down to like little bitty fish. It's fucking insane.
It's such a difference.
You shoot little bitty fish?
Right,
Wait,
It's both. It's
Ikejime with the wire.
You
right?
put the wire through the spinal column and separate the nervous, like all the. Yeah, it's just like amazing.
So I've got a friend who's a commercial fisherman who's coming out with a line of Ikejime spikes and Shikajime wires. And I can see about having him come, and he's got it everywhere from like little trout ones that are this long and like feather thin to tuna ones that are this long and they're.
On each fish.
I mean, I just have one, I got it off Amazon for like $9, and it's like, kills everything. I mean, it's like, it's long and you roll it up.
Yeah, you just roll it up and coil it.
Yeah.
You can make your own. It's
I
yeah.
had a copper wire for a while that was actually like super legit. Yeah.
I have a question. How do you guys brain halibut? Never been able to do it successfully by myself. I'm like, I just stab the fuck out of the head. Nick goes, oh, I can do it. It does it like right away every time. Like, I had to swim fish over to him, like, hey, kill this fish for me for a second.
Science Mike spent an alarmingly large amount of time explaining it to me.
Yeah.
So if you look at the white side of the fish,
Yeah.
you'll see there's a line. It makes the hump, and then the line, and that's the spinal column, and you'll see where it meets the head. And that's kind of a good kind of guide. Try it on a filleted fish to kind of ballpark where that is, but that's.
I heard something to the effect of it's like midway up the gill plate to between the eyes and directly diagonal down. That's
Like a
where
little triangle.
the brain is.
It just
That was one of my questions, but I kind of got on to other ones, so I cut that one out.
The way Science Mike, he's a guy from Laguna that was a complete psychopath. He would take a spear gun with one of the actual trident tips,
Yeah.
and he would go wade out into knee-deep water and just dry shoot halibut before they closed Laguna, and then he would just fling them up onto the beach, and then his wife would take them off and then throw the shaft back to him, and he would just keep doing that, so he would just stay in one spot. But what he explained it to me is like Marco said, where the lateral line comes up, kind of behind where the eyes are, it makes this little triangle that he called the window. And if you get one, you can actually do this with your thumb. You can feel where the skull is, and it's really thin on the underside. And if you press in with your thumb, you'll actually feel the skull crack. And so that's a good way to learn where that is. And you just stick your knife straight through there, turn it a couple times, and you'll see the little fat bubbles come out, same as on a sea bass. And as soon as you see the fat bubbles, you know you got the brain and it's done.
Cool.
Just a little bit about halibut biology that I find fascinating. They are born swimming like a regular fish when they're planktonic, and as they get to the larval stage, one eye will migrate to one side or the other side. With halibut, there are left-eyed flounders and right-eyed flounders, and halibut are about 50% one way or the other. But it's really cool. They start life like this.
Halibut's only one side though.
Right. They start like this, and then slowly that eye migrates over the hump, and they swim sideways, and then they become benthic, essentially. They get back down to the bottom.
Try dill when you're cooking too. It makes a really good crust. I was skeptical at first. Dried dill, you could buy it, you know. You could even have fresh dill, and it makes, you could add all this other stuff, but the dill makes this amazing crust. And then if you have a Traeger, Traeger's good.
Oh yeah.
Halibut can be pretty almost flavorless. Like you really need those
the
spices.
tofu of the seas, as far
And then
as that's why I like to do.
For the parasites, I like getting a medical grade freezer, and because there are a lot of parasites in them. And if you're gonna do ceviche, like with sea bass, I don't feel like I love sea bass ceviche. Like I don't really worry about parasites, but with halibut, I want to freeze it and get those parasites.
Yeah, I'll, if I'm gonna do a halibut ceviche, I'd freeze it for at least a month, probably, or at least.
If you have a medical grade freezer, it's only like 3-4 days.
What's a medical grade?
Yeah, what's that?
It's like it's
0 degrees.
Yeah, it gets much colder.
Yeah, I don't know what mine.
Also, gutting them quick helps because the parasites live in the gut, and then as soon as you kill them, there's no more blood flow there, and then they migrate to the meat. That's why you'll see the highest concentration right around
the belly.
The belly area.
Interesting.
Or a dive light makes really good. If you get like a thicker fillet, you can shine the light through it. If you see a dark spot, dig into it and pull that.
Toothpick it out, yeah.
Nice.
Saffron.
Saffron
is super effervescent in flavor, and you can do halibut with a saffron, or curried halibut is actually really good too.
Yeah, like I said, I make a curried halibut cake with the apricot reduction is awesome. Tight chilling, reduction. Yeah. Cool. Anything else, guys? Anybody questions? No. Awesome. Well, thank you. I think we'll take a little bathroom break real quick, and then we'll hand out T-shirts, raffles, and thanks for coming, guys.
You guys come up and check out your